Hi, everyone. We are the Book Cougars, two middle-aged women on the hunt for a good read. I'm Emily.
And I'm Chris.
We're coming at you because we're excited about this book.
The
The
Lions of Fifth
Lion
Avenue.
Avenue.
It's by Fiona Davis. It is coming out August 4th.
And we have a wonderful interview with Fiona that you can hear the entire portion of on episode 108, which will air on August 4th, the day the book is released.
Yes, indeed. Fiona's going to have an event with the New York Public Library that you can sign up for. You do need to register for that on the library's website. I think it's just nypl.org if you would like to see more of Fiona, which we highly recommend.
Yes. And we have this lovely, beautiful copy because we're hosting a giveaway of the book.
Yep.
In order to be registered for the giveaway, you need to join our newsletter, which is at bookcougars.com.
Yep, we send one email a month, so don't feel like we're going to inundate you, or we certainly won't sell your email or give it away.
Yeah, we don't know how to do any of that stuff anyway.
So we are having a total library fest. Longtime listeners know that we both love the New York Public Library. We love Fiona Davis's novels, but we were super excited about this new one because it's set in the library at two different time periods. I also wanted to do some show and tell with two library-related books. Can you see that okay, Emily?
That is such a beauty.
This is, wonderful coffee table book of the history of the library and beautiful photographs. Here's, of course, the iconic rose room,
reading room. I love that room. Chris and I got the opportunity to work in that room one day. It was so nice.
Yeah, it's so cool. And this is, I don't know how well this is going to show, but this book, what it does too, and it takes some of the architectural details. Can you see that? Like it's pointing out what the different details are.
That's amazing.
On that. So, and this is one of the big brackets that's in the gallery. And, I just think that's so cool. So if you're into architecture especially, but you want to really get intimate with the New York Public Library, this is definitely a book to check out.
Yeah, and I think it'd be really cool to look at it either before or after you read Fiona's book because that book is really inside the library.
Yeah.
It's a great story. It's fictional, but it's a great story that explores literally the inner sanctum of the library.
Right. And it's in two different time periods. So the early 1900s when the library was fresh and new with the superintendent's family who actually lives in an apartment inside the library. And then a later time period, was it the 90s, I believe, with a librarian who works in the library. And it's a bit of a mystery.
Things are going missing.
Yes, rare books. The other thing, a little show and tell too, this is a video called The People's Palace. It's a 60-minute video. It was on PBS, so I'm not sure if you could watch it at their website or not. But I did get this from the library. So I am looking forward to watching that this weekend.
Chris is librarying out.
We both love that library so much, and we're so bummed that we can't visit it these days, and really look forward to getting back there. So we're living vicariously through books and videos and Fiona Davis.
Right, exactly. Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah. So coming up, there's going to be a little clip about the beginning of our interview with Fiona. But like Emily said, listen to the full interview on episode 108, which is coming August 4th.
And we hope you are all getting some reading time in and staying safe and wearing your masks. Let's get through this together.
Yes.
But apart. Together but apart.
Together but apart, yes. All right, everybody.
Let's peek at this beautiful book.
Yeah, look at that gorgeous cover.
All right, everybody.
Take care. Happy reading.
Happy reading.
We're so excited to welcome back Fiona Davis, who's been our guest a couple times in the past, most recently on episode 82. Fiona is the nationally best-selling author of The Dollhouse, The Address, The Masterpiece, and The Chelsea Girls, all of which center around a historic building in Manhattan. Fiona herself is a proud New Yorker. She's a graduate of the College of William and Mary and of the Columbia Journalism School, which plays a part in her new novel, The Lions of Fifth Avenue. We're so excited about this book and to see you again, Fiona. Would you mind doing a little bit of a synopsis of the new book for our listeners?
That would be great. And thank you so much for having me on again. I'm absolutely honored. So The Lions of Fifth Avenue takes place at the New York Public Library. And there are two different timelines. In 1913, the wife of the superintendent lives in the building with her husband and two kids in an apartment that actually existed for the superintendent's family. And she's surrounded by all this knowledge, but feeling stifled and wanting to get out in the wider world. And so applies to and gets into Columbia Journalism School and kind of opens up her world. And then in 1993, it's from the point of view of a curator who's putting together a rare book exhibit. And she discovers a rare book has gone missing and is drawn into a series of thefts that occurred in 1913, as well as a tragedy that occurred to the superintendent's family back then. And it's really about the magic of the written word and the power of women's voices.
Wow, Fiona, that's a great synopsis.
Yes.
Chris and I both loved this book so much, and we both love the main branch of the New York Public Library as well, which is really, as your other books, it plays a character in this book, which is so fun, because it's a building that we have in our hearts, but also have spent time in as well. And both the first chapter, which starts in the era of 1913, and then the second chapter, which takes us to 1993, begin with the lions that are out front of the building, which of course are so iconic, currently wearing masks. Like the rest of us when they're outside. So can you talk a little bit about the history of those lions and the building itself and how you researched all of it?
Sure. Yeah, I did a real deep dive into the research, which I always do as just to start to figure out what surprises me and what interests me, and what might be a good plot point. And so I learned that when the library was built, before the library was there was the Croton Reservoir, which was this huge reservoir with 50-foot high granite walls that supplied the drinking water for New York. And so it was like this lake in the middle of the city, and you could walk on this promenade around the top.
Wow.
And that was taken down, and they put up the library. It took 9 years and $9 million to build. When it was built, it was the largest marble structure in America. And you can actually see in the foundation from one of the interior courtyards the rocks and the granite from the Croton Reservoir that was kind of put into the foundation of the library. And when it opened in 1911, it had 150,000 visitors its first day. It had 1 million books. And it's unusual in that it's this huge building, and the reading room, the Rose Reading Room, which is at the very top floor, is this beautiful room that the architects not only designed the building, they designed the desks, the lamps, the waste baskets. The level of detail that they put into it was just astonishing. And then below the Rose Reading Room is the stacks, and that's where all the books are held. And what a lot of people don't know is that it's not a lending library. You can't check out books. It's a research library. So you go in, you give your call slip, and they send it down. In the past, it was down a pneumatic chute down to the stacks, and then pages would run around and grab the books and then bring it back, and it would go back on this kind of conveyor belt back up to the reading room. And so it's like this beehive, this kind of vertical, beehive of books. And so it's just a remarkable building. When you walk in, your breath is taken away, because it's just so beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah. And the amount of tourists that are there, I love the opening with the 1993 curator, who was kind of a little bit resentful about all of the tourists streaming in. And I've had that feeling too sometimes when you're there to do work. It's, you have to negotiate around all of these tourists who are there, which is, a great thing that so many people are loving the library.
Yeah, definitely. And now, especially with it being, empty, I think it's going to just start opening up. Things are starting to open up just now. And so I think they will welcome back everyone who wants to come on in.
Yeah,
The curator in my book is a little prickly, so her point of view isn't necessarily anyone else's.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. I really enjoyed all of the characters in this book, the prickly ones and the not so prickly. How did you, why did you pick these two? I mean, I know why you picked the 19 teens, because the library is new, but why 93?
93 I chose because I wanted to base the book theft that occurs in the book, on one that occurred in 1994 to Columbia University's Butler Library, where a thief stole $1.8 million worth of manuscripts and rare books over the period of 3 months. And they couldn't figure out how this was happening. And so I needed the technology at the time to be similar in order to pull off the heist.
Yeah.
And so the 90s made sense. And I don't think I'd written in that decade before. So it was something fresh and new. And also I was in the city at that point, so I could draw on some of my memories from that period. And it was an interesting one. You had, the club CBGB's you have a punk rock club in the book, which is kind of unexpected in a book about libraries. But the city was like that, it was a little schizophrenic. So it was fun to capture that.
One of the things that I had never heard of was the notion of a shelf read, which was something that they had to do when something goes missing. So was that something that you knew about before you were researching heists and things like that?
No, I was lucky enough to meet a woman named Jean Ashton, who was the librarian at Columbia at the Butler Library during the time of the theft. And I was able to talk to her about kind of what it was like emotionally to be going through that, and were the staff turning on each other? How did it work? And so she was the one who told me all about how you had to do a shelf read, where you